Hello folks, and welcome back to my weekly football review. We start off with a review from Saturday's game, which was Liverpool versus Swansea, and I took that to be a home because Liverpool were playing really well and Swansea weren't. So of course I was wrong. And it finished Liverpool 2, Swansea 3. So, picture the scene. I'm sitting on my couch and I have my football app which gives me a wee yay or nay every time Liverpool score or concede, and I know that they're already getting beat 1-0, and then it comes through and I'm like, holy flip, or words to that effect, 2-0. And I'll tell you the God's honest truth. I thought, I've had enough of clap. Now, 10-15 minutes later, when it was 2-2, I thought to myself, maybe I took that too quick. But to me, it just seems as if his lustre, his sheen has gone. I mean, is he really any better than Brendan Rodgers or Benitez? Okay, he's better than Hodgson, but then again, I'm better than Roy Hodgson. So, we're not going to win the league. I think we'll do well to finish top 4. And here's a question for you. During this January transfer window, which is now just over a week to go, why have Liverpool been linked with nobody? So anyway, enough waffle. So the match was 0-0 at half time. At the start of the second half, Fernando Llorente put Swansea 1-0 up, and then 5 minutes later put them 2-0 up. Roberto Firmino then pulled a goal back, and then with 20 minutes to go, Liverpool equalised through Firmino again. And at that point you would think, right, Liverpool's on the way back, they're going to win this. But no. 5 minutes later, Swansea scored again through Gylfi Sigurdsson, and they managed to hold on for the final 5 minutes to win. So it's a very important win for Swansea. It took them out of the relegation places. They're up to 17th place, a couple of points outside the bottom 3. As for Liverpool, they are now 4th. So they're 3 games without a win, and this is now 1 AM. So technically tonight they are at home in the League Cup semi-final. I think it would be just as wise if I just don't bother predicting Liverpool scores anymore, because I do it very badly. Okay, next up was Bournemouth versus Watford. I took this to be a draw, and it was. It finished Bournemouth 2, Watford 2. Watford took the lead midway through the first half through Christian Capasil, and that's the way it stayed till half time. And then at the start of the second half, Bournemouth equalised through Joshua King, before 15 minutes later Troy Deeney put Watford 2-1 up, and then 10 minutes from time Phoebe equalised for Bournemouth, and that's the way it stayed. So Bournemouth are still doing well. They're in the 12th place, which is a good steady position for them. Watford are 2 points further down, 2 places further down as well. So it's 12th versus 14th now. So next up we have Crystal Palace versus Everton, and I took this for an away win, and I was correct. It finished Crystal Palace 0, Everton 1, and my phone is frozen. So let's see, give me a second. Really, the app isn't responding, I didn't realise that. Okay, so the goal was scored by Seamus Coleman with a late winner, 3 minutes from time. So another good performance, a good win for Everton. They're the best of the secondary bunch. If you take the top 6 to be their own, way above the rest group. Everton are the best of the rest. So they're currently 7th, but they're only 5 points behind Man United now. And they're 4 points ahead of West Brom. As for Palace, Swansea's win means that they're now in the relegation zone. They've got a pretty poor record, you have to say. 22 games, 4 wins, 4 draws, 14 defeats. Next up, we come to Middlesbrough versus West Ham. I took that for an away, and it was Middlesbrough 1, West Ham 3. So West Ham got off to a good start to the game. Andy Carroll scored after 9 minutes. And then just before the half-hour mark, Christian Stuani made it 1-1 before Andy Carroll made sure that West Ham went in at half-time in the lead 2-1. And that's the way it stayed right up to stoppage time, when in the 94th minute Jonathan Calleri even, scored to make it 3-1. So Middlesbrough stay just above the relegation zone. They're 4 points above, but only 2 places. They still having problems scoring goals. 22 games, only 18 goals. And West Ham continue to improve. They are now up to 10th place. And yeah, West Ham is going to be pretty happy with how things are going recently. So next up, we come to Stoke versus Man United, which I took to be an away win, and I was wrong. And it finished Stoke 1, Man United 1. So Stoke took the lead just on 19 minutes with an own goal by Juan Mata, which was apparently a comedy of errors. And then midway through the second half, Wayne Rooney came on, and he got the equaliser in stoppage time, which was also the goal that broke Bobby Charlton's goal scoring record. So Rooney is now Man United's all-time leading goal scorer. So that was, you could say, a bad result for United. That's 2 draws in a row after drawing against Liverpool last week. They're currently 14 points behind Chelsea, so you would say the league title's gone. But they're only 4 points behind Liverpool in 4th, so they're still in there for the race for the Champions League. Stoke are 9th, joint with West Ham, so their season's going kind of bang average. It's 7 wins, 7 draws, 8 defeats, so not too bad. Next up, we come to West Brom versus Sunderland. I took this for a home win, and it was. It finished West Brom 2, Sunderland 0. So West Brom got 2 goals in quick succession halfway through the first half. Darren Fletcher scored after half an hour, and then Chris Brunt scored 5 minutes later to make it 2-0. So that's the way it stayed, and West Brom are in 8th place. They're doing steady, they're playing well, and good home form. Sunderland are, well, you would say doomed. They're rock bottom of the division. They're only 3 points from safety though, so it's still tight. But they just don't seem to be doing anything under David Moyes. He just doesn't seem to be able to get anything out of them. And it's just the year-on-year struggle for Sunderland. Next up, we have Manchester City versus Tottenham. And I took that for a draw, and it was. So it was Manchester City 2, Tottenham 2. So Spurs came into this game in a run of 5 victories in a row. Man City were not that hot, but the game was 0-0 at half time, and then at the start of the second half, Leroy San made it 1-0. 5 minutes later, Kevin De Bruyne added a second. So things were looking good for Man City. But then 4 minutes later, Dele Alli pulled one back to make it 2-1. And then 10 minutes from time, Heung-min Son Heung-min scored to equalise. And that's the way it stayed. I'm pretty sure that I actually predicted this game to be a 2-2 draw. So that was kind of unusual. So Spurs are currently in third place. They're 9 points behind Chelsea. And Man City are currently in fifth, 2 points behind Liverpool. So next up we come to Sunday's games. And Southampton managed to... I took it to be a draw. And guess what? I was wrong. It was Southampton 3, Leicester 0, and things just going from bad to worse for Leicester, and Ranieri's under a lot of pressure. Southampton took the lead 26 minutes through with a goal by James Ward-Prowse, and 10 minutes later Jay Rodriguez made it 2-0. And that's the way it stayed until 5 minutes from time when Tadic scored to make it 3-0 from the penalty spot. So as regards the table, Southampton are up to 11th now. It's still a tight wee group there. West Ham and Stoke are just a point above them. And Leicester are in 15th, 5 points off the relegation zone. But it's not looking good for them. Their away form this season has been woeful. So next up we come to Arsenal versus Burnley, which I took to be a home win, and I was right by the skin of my teeth. So this match was 0-0 at half time, and then after an hour Mustafi scored to put Arsenal 1-0 up. 5 minutes later Xhaka got sent off for the third time this season with a straight red card with a bad two-footed challenge. It's his 6th red card in 2 seasons. He just doesn't seem to know how to tackle. So that's the way it stayed up until stoppage time, when Burnley got a penalty and they equalised to make it 1-1 through Andre Gray. And then in the 98th minute Arsenal got a penalty, and Sanchez scored to make it 2-1. So as regards the table, that puts Arsenal up to second place, and they're a point ahead of Spurs and 2 points ahead of Liverpool, but 8 points behind Chelsea. Burnley's poor away form continues. Out of 10 away games they've had 1 point, but they're nice and safe in 13th place, still looking okay for them. And that brings us on to Chelsea against Hull. Another match that was, I'm going to say, 0-0 at half time, but there was a bad head injury midway through the first half to Hull's Ryan Mason, which resulted in a fractured skull. So there was a lot of stoppage time, and Diego Costa put Chelsea in front in the 7th minute of stoppage time in the first half. And then 10 minutes from time, Gary Cahill made it 2-0. So Chelsea's good form continues, and they're 8 points clear and romping home to the title, it seems. Hull are still down in the relegation zone, and it's not looking good for them. They're a point away from getting out of the relegation. A win away from getting out of the relegation zone, but it's not looking good. So then finally, just for a laugh, I picked Uzbekistan versus Georgia to be at home, and it wasn't. But I'm not going to count that because I know nothing about that. It was a 2-2 draw. So, out of 10, I'm sorry. That was, what am I doing? That was 2-0, and that was correct. So out of 10, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I got 7 out of 10, which is not bad. I haven't done terrible in any predictions yet. I haven't done like a 1 or 2 out of 10. So there we go. That's my review for this week complete. I'll see you on Friday for my predictions for next week. That's right, bye.